What's up, everybody? This is Andrew Morgans, the founder of Marknology, here on the Startup Hustle, talking all things e-commerce, digital marketing, and everything involved. Excited to bring today's guest to you. Tyler's a friend of mine as well as a colleague. He was with me in the early days when I was trying to build Marknology and helping me kind of solve a problem. And it's just been kind of cool to follow each other's journey through the years. We've touched base a couple of times just to shoot the shit and see what's going on in his world and mine. Being digital nomads, entrepreneurs. When you meet a real one, you try to stay connected. Before we get started, I think this is going to be today's sponsor is a good one for today's show. You know them, Fullscale.io, helping you build a software team quickly and affordably. We're going to talk about, some software as a service stuff, getting one started, how to avoid mistakes, and, conversations all the time, whether you're in e-commerce, product sales, service-based, there's software needs that you have. And as we get more digital every single day, it becomes more and more of a necessity to get things done. Tyler,
Yeah.
welcome to the show.
Thank you, man. Thank you. Thank you for having me. I know it was last minute. I emailed you a few days ago. Hey, I want to get on. So
No, but you meet so many people, especially in the agency world, and I'm always thinking e-commerce, but there's so many aspects to really what that is. And
yeah,
when you reached out thinking about Tableau, thinking about, the dashboards I'm building now, I'm spending thousands a month, including my last episode with Sam, using, Dash applications to do some of my software needs. And
mhm,
I remember even with Tableau, we were using like CSVs and Excel sheets,
yeah,
trying to get this stuff done in the early days. So it's good to have you. Like, let's start a little bit with your backstory, if you don't mind. Tell everybody a little bit about Visual Intelligence. If that's your first company, I know it's at least your current company.
yeah,
And what got you here?
yeah. So I mean, you want to go like all the way back to college days?
Let's start like, yeah, from college on. Like, what you went to school for?
So my kind of going to college, I kind of already had the thought of being an entrepreneur, right? But you need a fallback plan, right? So I
Yep.
kind of in college I went to school for it's called actual science, which is I was supposed to be an actuary, so it's like a statistician for healthcare. And then I had a minor in finance and statistics, and then I went to do my MBA in finance. So I started off doing healthcare analytics, and
Okay.
that was like, I mean, analytics in general, you're golden, right? So doing analytics, I jumped around. I went to a startup for about 6 months, and I was just like, man, this is way too much work for what they paying me, right? They gave me a cell phone. They were like, hey, we got a meeting at 5:30. I was like, hey, I got to pick up my kids. No, yeah, so that didn't work out. And then I went to another global travel management company, and that's where I picked up Tableau. And me, I have a similar background as you. My dad's a professional painter. He's a dean of an art school. I went to school for analytics, and then I have an MBA in business. So I have that weird mixture of analytics. I can program, I can do SAS and SQL and Tableau. I have that the artistic graphic design kind of thing because I grew up, with painting as a dad, and then I am just business because I'm business savvy and I went to school. So and with Tableau, it's kind of one of those things where you need to know business and you need to be able to talk to people and get the understanding of what's going on. You need the analytics and you need to make it pretty, right? So I started using Tableau in there, and it just like I just caught on super fast. So I started doing freelancing kind of at night. And after about 3 or 4 months of doing freelancing, I made whatever I was making in my corporate freelancing. So I was just like, all right, forget it. And so I made the jump,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and I ended up making my employer a contract, which I don't know how that happened, but I ended up
I
talking.
tried that. It didn't work. They said no. I think their feelings were hurt, but
Yeah,
I did say, hey, like, I won't leave you high and dry. Like, I'll continue to, like,
right.
manage this. I just want to do more. So good for you.
Yeah, so
And hey, before you go on further, can, like, for anyone listening, this is a show by founders for founders. Sometimes we're talking, we can start talking our world, our tech speak a little bit, and leave some people behind. But for anyone that's kind of a novice listener to data analytics, what is Tableau?
yeah. So Tableau is a data visualization tool. So you know how you got Excel, everybody's used Excel, you got the crosstabs, right? Everyone loves,
Mm-hmm.
especially old school, right? Now kind of the trend the last 10 years or so is creating like dashboards. So interactive dashboards, infographics, the nice, pretty interactive charts that you usually see. Like I've been doing a lot of COVID ones. So I did one for the state of Tennessee showing all of their COVID cases and doing all of that. So now, especially executives, they're tired of crosstabs. They want to see, I call it nice, pretty paintings of data, right? And
Mm-hmm.
Tableau's the leading data visualization tool. It's kind of the top two are Tableau and Microsoft Power BI, but Tableau is leading to me all together. So yeah, it's a dashboarding tool is what it does.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just wanted to like create a baseline. So if we keep
No, for
talking
sure.
it,
You're
people
like,
are
well,
like,
how
okay,
is
this
that?
is a dashboard tool, a high end dashboard tool.
Yeah. So yeah, it's the high end dashboarding and data analytics tool. So it's kind of on the trend. I mean, it is. I mean, it's bought by Salesforce, so it's a huge tool. But it's kind of still growing. Excel is the old school one. This is kind of the new trend going on. So kind of go back to story. So I started freelancing, and I started on like Upwork and Elance, the platforms where you hire all the freelancers from around the
Same as
world.
I.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And then I got to the point where, building the website, started doing marketing, started doing YouTubes. And I got to the point where now I just get clients contacting me and I don't even have to do it no more. But it kind of, I mean, just like, with consulting, even though you own your own business, it still feels like a job, right? like,
Right.
so the last few years I've been developing a software because just the business model. I love the business model of being able to, create something once and then scale it, sell it to people, have, virtual assistants do your support tickets or whatever. And, all you got to focus on is kind of marketing aspect of it. And you can even outsource that, right? But it's fully scalable. And I could just, walk away, sit on the beach and chill and still make money without my time being connected to money, right? Everybody's dream.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to switch into that, even though, I mean, my consulting business is doing fine, but like I said, I still feel like it's work. And I'm trying to get to that next level now, which is where, I built the software as a service and that's kind of where I'm trying to get to now.
No, I love it. And I know we've talked back and forth about ways we can work together. And for anyone listening, my story is very similar. Was working at corporate as e-commerce manager, was in school, was traveling as a musician, but had my plan B, which is computer science. And then started freelancing when I had my corporate job out of school and got a few clients and then left. And, so that's what me and Tyler have had in common and turned into consultants. I think the difference in path was, with my family, I wanted to build something, so I started going the agency route and, hiring people under me to know how to do what I do and that kind of thing. But in this space that I'm in regards to Amazon, e-commerce, let's just broaden it. In regards to e-commerce, there's so many needs for understanding. I'm trying to bridge the gap from what I know how to do as, let's say, a digital construction worker to the owners of these brands or the operators of these brands. And dashboards is a great way to do that. It essentially allows me to tell a story to them versus talking numbers in Excel. So for me, dashboards have been on my radar for years. And Amazon is just now, like my last podcast with Sam, Amazon is just now allowing us to have this data from an API, instead of Excel downloads, and be able to essentially port it in. Super, super important. And, something else like, besides, I want to get into the software conversation, but staying here kind of on visual intelligence and what you do right now and why it's so important. I went to Goldman Sachs 10K earlier this year. I got signed up in January pre-COVID, and things changed as the year went along, but it was a fantastic program with Goldman Sachs at Babson College in Boston, for a small business accelerator. And one major takeaway that I came away with was not just looking to build dashboards for my clients so I can help them tell a story about what we're working on from an agency perspective, but how do I build a dashboard that tells me how Marknology is doing as a service-based company, as an agency? And because the tech space is kind of the Wild West and the final frontier that there is, everything is evolving constantly, and a lot of the software that we use doesn't have a way of connecting with all the other software. It just got made, right? It just got made. So I use all these different tools in my business, and have been working to build a dashboard that tells me the health of my business, as an agency. Where's a central spot I can look at without needing to open QuickBooks, without needing to open my project management software, without needing to open my time tracking, without having one-on-one conversations with all my employees and hoping I'm getting honest conversations from them as managers. Like, where's somewhere that I can go and take a look and be like, okay, this is my baseline, and we're up or we're down from that baseline, and know quickly, how my business is doing. That is just, I'm obsessing about it.
Yeah, no, for sure. And kind of going back to your original comment of the different routes we took with you building the agency. I had those thoughts too. I mean, because especially being a consultant, it's either I increase my rates or I put people under me, right?
Mm-hmm.
And when I tried it, it's like I said, Tableau's such, to me, I see it as art. Like it's an art platform, because you give 10 people the Excel file and tell them to build a dashboard, you're going to get 10 completely different things. So trying to
Right.
train someone how to think like you in art is very challenging. It was almost like they build it and I'd be like I would have painted it like this, right? And then so it got to the point where it was like, man, like I can do that, but it's almost more work of trying to teach someone how you would think how to paint, because it's creative. I couldn't really come up with a process to be like, I would do it this way, because I don't even know what the hell I'm gonna do until I do it.
Right.
So that's where the software as a service came. But I mean, like you said, even the software as a service, it connects data. It kind of hits that middle point, because what the software does is it looks at it. So it's to create survey dashboards. Because in the market research industry, there's all these survey platforms, SurveyMonkey, Qualtrics, Survey Gizmo, all that, and a lot of them are trying to get it into a data visualization tool. But that middle ground of getting that data from the survey platforms to the data visualization tool is not there, and it's very
Right.
hard to, especially with survey data. Survey data is just ugly. You know what I mean? Like the structure of multiple choice and open ended, like all of that is just nasty when it comes to visual or data visualization or data analytics in general. So my tool is kind of that middle point that kind of can talk to the survey platforms and get it into the BI platforms. But like you said, I think the biggest, I mean, probably after I figure out how to get this one going, the next software, I'm going to stay with software because, like I said, I love that business model, but it's going to be around, like you said, connecting data from all these different sources and putting it in an easy to use, dashboard or template that can tell you kind of everything. Because I agree, that's definitely what most businesses are missing right now.
Data is everything. Like, if
Sure.
you don't have data, I don't think you can improve your business. I think at that point you're slinging mud against the wall and hoping it sticks.
Yep.
I agree with you on the art and science part. A lot of times when I'm talking to clients, I'm talking to them about Amazon and e-commerce, and some of what we're doing, the SEO research and different things, and these keywords, and being like, it's a little bit of art, it's a little bit of science, it's a little bit of magic with photos and copywriting, it's a little bit of like data tracking and analysis. And I personally think I'm a data scientist and a business strategist.
Yeah.
And it's been it really is hard to teach. And at the beginning it was my sister moving here with a master's in engineering from Tampa to believe in what I was doing and come sit down next to me and just watch for 3 years, 4 years now, right?
Yeah.
And she's not sitting over my shoulder, she's running things herself. But like, that's what it took at the beginning. And if you don't, I mean, that's a family member that's close to me, that we're almost like twins in some ways. So maybe that was my magic, right?
Yeah.
Was getting someone a lot like me to kind of think like me.
Because a lot of it's personality traits. I mean, either you have
Right.
it or you don't. And the same thing with Tableau is that I can just look at your dashboards and tell you if you have it or not. And as far as what I want, because I mean, some stuff you just can't train. I mean, it's innovation, it's creativity, it's problem solving. You either have that or you don't. I mean, it's not a bad or good thing. It's just you have something better. So yeah, no, I agree. And probably being related, she has probably a lot of the same thinking processes that you got.
Yeah, that's what it took. And I mean, and honestly, we've had a little bit of turnover here at Marknology, not in a bad way. As we're going through a pandemic, e-commerce is in like literally the highest demand for services that it's ever been. I mean, if you guys get on any kind of job platform, it's just e-commerce, e-commerce, e-commerce. And some of our people have gotten poached by bigger agencies, the New York, East Coast, West Coast. And that's what happens when you train people to know how to, how to do what you do.
Yeah.
You kind of am faced with that too. So there's always issues there. I think I'm kind of doing it in reverse, and that's typical Andrew Morgan's. Just like, doing things sometimes the hard way, but also like, maybe being a front runner and then learning, hey, I need to take a couple steps back, and for me, that's where, being able to market the software, I feel like if I release a software or a dashboard software or anything proprietary, it will be after I already have an agency and exposure and can sell it in that way,
Yeah.
but it is something very top of mind. And as I'm getting the experience year after year after year, I feel like I get a great understanding for what's needed and what's
Mhm.
missing and what all these brands are missing and what they want. So having a lot of fun doing that. Like, how far are you along in this software build? Like, do you have a prototype?
Yeah, no, actually, I launched it this year, but
Okay.
it's so. I'll give you. So this is what you shouldn't do. Okay.
Yeah, let's
so,
talk about this. Let's talk
uh,
about this.
so being a data visualization expert, right? I was just starting to get these survey projects coming in, right? And it was just a tedious process of cleaning the survey data and creating these dashboards, right? I had to kind of learn to figure out how to clean it, how to get in the right structure, and then I had to create these dashboards from scratch every time. So I was working with a company, I was doing a couple a month. And I was like, all right, man, like it got to a point where I was like, I don't even want this contract no more. Like it was that bad. I was in Excel, just manipulating data and changing data. Then, Excel, you mess up one,
Isn't easy.
and you're like, oh damn, what did I do? And you got to start all over. So then I started using, like ETL tools, like automation tools, like Alteryx and different things to automate it. And then I was like, man, well, if I'm having this problem, thinking like an entrepreneur, somebody else is having this problem, right?
Mm-hmm.
So then I started developing the tools internally and kind of using them as a project. And then I got
Now all of a sudden this problem, not to cut you off, but all of
yeah,
a sudden this problem becomes an opportunity, right?
exactly,
Because you're
exactly.
like, hey, this thing is like driving me crazy, but I can't be the only one. I'm at like,
Yeah,
not saying I'm at the top of this game, but you're like, I know my software, I know Excel, I know
yeah.
Tableau. I should be able to do this with my expertise, and yet I'm still having a problem.
Exactly. So I was out there Googling, watching YouTube videos, trying to figure out who had the inside knowledge on how to visualize survey data, right? And there was really nobody out there. There's one guy that spoke at the Tableau conference that talked about it a little bit, but like it was like it's such a fresh topic. Like data visualization in general is new, and then you bring in market research, which is not the most techie field. You know what I mean? Like nobody was doing it, so I was like, all right, perfect. Like
Mm-hmm.
I got a headache. I see like nobody's really in it. It's a growing trend. All right, I'm gonna jump on it, right? And I probably should have did more market research myself, but I jumped on it, right? And I was developing it, just doing my consulting company and developing this on the side for a couple of years, and then I launched it this year, and I got to the point where it was like, all right, I don't know anything about market research because I knew the product was good because I knew people would pay me to get these dashboards for them, but I haven't figured out how to package it correctly. So I was
Mm-hmm.
I was just kind of throwing darts at a board, like, oh well, maybe I can package it this way, or maybe I should go after this group or go after this group, without knowing the industry is really hard to know how to go after them if it's not you. You know what I mean? So I know
Like who's your customer? Like, you know what I mean? Like, is that
like where do they
the
live?
e-commerce manager that's like been in charge of like getting surveys together,
Yeah,
or is it, the CMO? Like, who's that customer,
exactly.
and
And
how do
who
you
has
get
the
them to
budget?
know that they need it?
you know
Yeah.
who has the budget also, because I know plenty of people that could use it, but I'm trying to make money off of it too. So the whole mixture of it. So now this year has been kind of that learning curve of all right, how do I sell it, who do I sell it to, who's the most powerful, like trying to figure all that out, which to me is not bad because I'm learning on the go. I saw opportunity, I jumped on it. I built a whole survey software where I got marketing people and software developers and legal, talking to lawyers to get like terms and conditions. So I learned a lot from it. So I'm not mad, even if I don't sell it. I'm not mad, because there's so much I learned from it that I can apply to whatever my next software is. But still, it's I'm adapting. I'm trying to be agile. I'm trying to figure it out, and I'm just moving and just kind of going wherever the river takes me. But if I did it again, I would do a little more research and try to figure out what that market is before. instead of kind of doing it on the go. But I mean, you know, when you get an idea, you run with it. You know.
You're like, look, I got the software done. Now I
Yeah.
just like, okay, I would have done, this first before I got there.
Exactly.
But I don't really feel like there's a better way. Honestly, like I think everyone has different skill sets. Like I'm someone that runs into the burning building to save lives. Like,
Yeah.
and think about it later. Like,
Yeah.
that everyone has their own thing. Like I'm a trailblazer. Um, I don't even think that much of it because that's who I naturally am. And I'm just like, well, I don't know if I'm going to figure something out. I have to just go do it. And then, I'll figure it out. And other people are like, what? That's crazy. Like,
Yeah.
how are you not going to think through this? I'm like, just like, well, if I do that, I'm not going to do it.
Yeah. No, for sure.
If
You sit there
I'll think
forever.
myself to death. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I commend that in a lot of ways. And, some people I like to talk about failures on the show,
Yeah.
but I can't really think of that many. Like, is it the $1,500 I got scammed out of like a couple months ago? Is that a failure?
Yeah.
Is it, overpaying this vendor, underpaying?
Mm-hmm.
I overpaid a vendor that I like didn't need to pay. And I'm like, okay, is that a failure? Is that a mistake?
Yeah.
Or is that, I don't know, I need to bless them a little bit. Right.
Yeah.
So like I have my own way of thinking about things, even our project, right? Like I
Mm-hmm.
probably spent several grand working with you trying to get a dashboard when no one was doing this, and that's something I've been doing in my business for years. I'm going on year 6. I've been spending money in areas to learn, because that's my tuition cost. That's my further education cost. That's, I literally trashed what we did together, not because it was trash, but because it wasn't automation.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to be uploading, multiple Excels for all these clients.
Yeah.
And then a simple software came along that was $29.99 a month, and it did a basic version of what we were trying to do. We were doing all types of stuff with showing where orders were placed across the globe and, some fun stuff like that. But this little program came out, and I was just like,
See,
swallowed that pride,
we should have just
swallowed
pulled
that.
that
And it's like,
program. Like,
right. We should
take the
have, but
software.
at the same time, it was like, look, I learned what I needed. I learned that I needed
Nah, for
automation. I
sure.
didn't need something that I was uploading Excels, manually for. I learned quite a bit what the next thing was that I needed. And
Yeah.
where can people find, should they just contact you at your website? If there is anyone listening that has surveys in their business or uses them often, and like, a visualization for that part of their business would be helpful. How do people find the software that you built?
Yeah, it's visualsurvey.com. So VIZUAL.com. So Tableau Consulting is Visual Intelligence Consulting, and then Visual Survey is a software as a service that allows you to analyze any type of questionnaire, product feedback, survey data in a Tableau dashboard easily.
Awesome. And yeah, for anyone watching us on live or later on YouTube or Facebook, I have Tyler's website up here on the screen, visualintelligenceconsulting.com. If you guys didn't get that, that survey site where you guys can find that software, I'm sure you can contact him here too, and he'll pull you up. That's something that at a high level, I'm almost scared, to implement his surveys in a lot of ways. But I've worked with a lot of businesses that it's a big part of what they do.
Mm-hmm.
And I would like to think that I get a lot of mine still relationally, because we're a small enough, team and agency that I'm connecting with people individually.
Mm-hmm.
But something really important, and I can't overstate, this is our sponsor today is fullscale.io, helping you build software teams quickly and affordably. And Matt, one of the founders of that company, Matt DeCourcy, as my mentor, is always telling me, automation. And I'm in a service-based industry. I've always felt like it's quality and relationship that gets you business and keeps business. And so, kind of old school in that way, but I'm learning every single day how important automation is, and scaling, and what software, and when to change and what to find. Always looking for ways to take what I'm doing and automate it. These are problems for everybody. So, Dash Applications, I was on this podcast before, not to keep bringing that one up, but one thing he said that was huge was they were the first company in this space to focus on what agencies or what brands need instead of these individual sellers, which is what a lot of these tools are for, these individual sellers. So even when there's something in the space, there's always that next thing that someone else needs,
Yeah.
you know. And that's something that we still might need to get together. I got some things in the fire that I'm working with that I'd love to run by you and just see, if there's any alignment there.
Yeah. Sure.
But huge topic. What's the word I'm looking for? Sorry, I'm drawing blanks, but a huge focus of mine as I close out 2020 and into 21 is dashboards, automation, scaling the parts of my business that can be scaled,
Yeah.
how to keep my team lean and mean, as we go into the new year. And one reason I want to do that is honestly pay. I want to be able to pay my people more.
Yeah.
And to do that, I can't just hire more team members. I need to automate some of that kind of
Yeah.
stuff. And so I'm literally thinking about automation and dashboard management in order to pay my people more to then deliver more on the service and relational side, because they're more vested here as well. So that's at least my thinking
Yeah.
in regards to why I'm focusing on these areas.
No, for sure. I mean, you think of
So
most companies that make the most money, they don't have the most people, right? They have a whole bunch
right.
of computers and everything else doing most of the work, and just the creative people are there. So yeah, that's definitely it.
Yeah, I think the pandemic has changed the focus a little bit from tech only because it's so scalable to product-based business like e-commerce, like where I focus in. So I'm
Yep.
glad there's a little bit of shift there. But whenever you're making that shift, that focus is still like, how do you get that done quickly and easily? Like it's not there's a reason everyone's been focused on the tech space, and it's because it is so scalable,
Yeah.
so how can I take that to the service based side is still something that I'm pondering every single day and trying to find those areas.
Yeah.
We talked a little bit about this software. We've talked about your dashboard company, visualizations, and let's dig in a little bit deeper to like some of those things to avoid, if you're building a software and launching it outside of market research. You talked about lawyers and figuring all that kind of
Yeah.
stuff out. Like, what did you not know when you were like, I'm going to solve this with the software?
So I mean, the software was all automation, right? Because I was doing everything manually, right? And yeah, I could do it manually, but it's just like I said, it was just a tedious thing. So I put all the logic, all my brain power into the software to automate it. Now, once I had the software, I was using it internally, and then it got to the point of, all right, now I need to make this so the public can use it, right? And I'm not, I like kind of having control of things. So like I was running my consulting company and I was building a whole software company on the side. But of course, I outsourced everything. So, I went on Upwork, right? I got full-time software developer. I got a marketing person. I hired the lawyer to do the terms and conditions. I hired a graphic designer. I hired, website developer, and I didn't hire them full-time. I just hired them, for their hours. But, I worked with them, and I was kind of like just a project manager of it, just giving them ideas and doing this and that. With it. And I mean, that was a huge learning experience itself, just, learning a little bit of everything to be able to kind of get a whole software company off the ground.
A team, right?
Yeah. And I mean, that, like I said, that was powerful just in itself. And I mean, it took a little bit of time because, like I said, I was still working on my other company, which was the one that put the money to do it, right? So if I didn't have another company, I wouldn't be able to build this because I didn't have the money to do it. So, doing that, and I would say some of the things to watch out for is just, I mean, people in general, just finding the right person. So like when I hire someone, I usually like, I'll hire 4 people and I'll have them 4 people do the same exact thing. And then whoever does the best, that's the one. And I'll pay them, of course, to do it. But whoever does the best, that's the one I'll get. And then maybe 6
I like it.
I'll have that person do something, and I'll have 4 new people do something, and then I'll kind of gauge what that person is with there because, yeah, I mean, especially if you're outsourcing overseas, everything is cheaper. So you might have that little bit of overhead, or overhead in the beginning, hiring 4 people to do one thing, and of course you pick the task to do. But you want to make sure it's a task that they use their problem solving, their creativity, their innovation. But that's stuff you can't teach, right?
Right.
So that's what you're looking for. But you can't just pick, like, in my opinion, you can't just pick one person. You have to see what they can do and see how they think, see how they're creative and how they solve problems, and or like, can they not do or figure out something without them asking you every single thing, every day. Like, well, what happens if? I'm like, figure it out yourself. Like, that's why I'm hiring you, right?
Right.
Or else I would do it myself. So finding those people, and it's a little bit of a learning process. But once you get those people, those people do all across all my companies. They do the stuff for me. So you find the right people, and it's just a learning process. You learn on the go the whole time. But like I said, I make sure I know at least a little bit. I don't go in just blind. Like, if I'm hiring a graphic designer, I'll go on Udemy and take a graphic design course, just so I got an idea of what's going on, so I can talk to them. You know what I mean?
Right. Right.
So,
Right.
so I'll go in and I learned a little bit about WordPress. I learned a little bit about this. Just learn a little bit enough to talk to them. But like, well, can't you do something like this? They're like, oh yeah, I could do something like be able to at least speak to them, or else you just in there blind. Like, I don't know what's going on. You know what I mean? And then on top of that, take some of their knowledge. Like, well, how did you do this? Record that screen when you do this, so I can see how you did it.
Mm-hmm.
Paying them, you might as well learn from them too, right? So it's just a whole learning process of doing all that, and it's just being agile and flexible while you're doing it. But it's a great learning process. I mean, like you said, it's my college, right? I went to college and didn't learn shit, in my opinion. Everything that I think is valuable that I know now is from YouTube and learning, learning on the go. So yeah, so that's it's kind of the process that I took to go in, and it's like I said, it's all just learning. That's
Yeah, for me, a big part of that is like, if someone hasn't even put in the effort to like Google or YouTube or do any kind of like research on it at
yeah,
all, it's like a huge red flag to me,
yeah,
because there's so much knowledge out there. If I would much rather even them have wrong knowledge and come
yeah.
to me with that, like that they have something, and then let me talk to that, versus just coming with nothing.
No, for sure.
That's the big thing that Fullscale.io does, and they might be a good plug for you as well, Tyler. Fullscale.io, they help you build teams right overseas, right? So the
Yeah.
the thing here is that it takes out that need to hire 4 people,
Hmm.
because they've already been vetted. So
Yep.
it's kind of the best of the talent. They have a project manager, that's helping them, stay on task, dedicated to you. If you have any issues, you're talking to that project manager. That's then talking to your team. I mean, then you can start talking directly to them too as well. And I'm a customer, so I've used them for graphic design. I've used them for content, a bunch of different things. Just kind of takes out that they're it takes out that going out there and finding those people and keeping them,
Yeah.
connected for you. And for a lot of companies, that you have, high end development needs, it's
Hmm.
a big win. And a lot of people, that are thinking about whether it's virtual assistants or using someone like Fullscale.io, and you're like, I don't know how I feel about, using, talent overseas. To that person, I would say, like, without to do that, I wouldn't have been able to hire people here in Kansas City. It's
No,
like,
for sure.
it doesn't matter who's doing what. It's about building, a company that's sustainable and that's going to be profitable and that can continue to pay people here what they're worth,
Hmm.
and bring business back into the city. It's do whatever it takes. When you're a real entrepreneur, it's do whatever it takes to get it done.
Yeah.
And to anyone that's like, I don't know about VAs, that kind of thing. Um, I question whether how much they care about getting it done.
Yeah. I
So to them,
I use
it's an
VAs
alignment
for
thing.
everything. like my mom was looking for a job, and I was like, you know what? Just go on Indeed, save all the jobs. I'll have a virtual assistant apply for all of them. like I use the VAs in all aspects of life. You know what I
I
mean?
love it. I love it.
If it's something that could be automated or somebody else can do, I'm not wasting my time. I'll have somebody else do it, because I'm trying to do something else with my time, and that's a big thing. Being an entrepreneur is you want to do everything. You want to you tackle all the little things, and you got to prioritize what's important and what's not, or else you'll be stuck doing just little stuff that's not worth anything. And I had a hard time doing that, because I'm like, man, let me just do this. I could do this real quick, and I could do this real quick, and it's just like, well, like whatever was generating me money, I stopped doing. you know
Yeah.
so learning how to delegate is really hard, being especially a solo entrepreneur. But once you can delegate and get all, like you said, automate your processes and then get people doing the stuff that you don't actually have to do, then you can focus more on the value, value added stuff. Man,
Exactly. I was talking to a client today, and he just uh we were having a conversation about taking on his Europe accounts, and the conversation was flowing in a way that was just like, I just want to make sure, like, you're still plugged in, and you're still focused and running my business like as if you were running it yourself, because
yeah,
that's how we are in Marknology. We're very high touch, and I'm in the weeds, like,
yeah,
and I reassured him. I said, hey, I have to rely on my team. That's why I built the team. I don't want to be uploading coupons and photos and things that I don't have to be doing, but I will spend hours helping you find the right partner, for whether it's translations or off Amazon advertising, or, anything to do. And that's my value, right? That's where I can bring the most value to my clients is, figuring out how to do the things that someone else can do or do better than me. And the same reason I hired you for the dashboards, right? I can do a lot, and I've taught myself a lot. And it was something that I was like, no, this is a bit of an art, and I'm gonna hire somebody to do it. Honestly, like, there's a lot in my business I've done myself. There's a few things I've hired out,
yeah.
and
You
you just got to find out what
gotta learn to
what
let
you're
go.
good at. Yep,
Yeah,
a
you gotta
hundred
learn to
percent.
let go.
I said, I've been patting myself on the back the last couple of weeks, because I'm still learning that, as someone from the bottom, so to speak, self-made, like, at one point you're just grabbing any opportunity that's there, and you're like, oh, I can make $1. Oh, I can make $1. Oh, I can make $1. And you're just grabbing opportunity, and especially if you like helping people, you're grabbing opportunities and helping people, and it becomes just kind of this thing that you like. But to become a second stage business, to grow past a team of 12 or wherever I'm at, I have to change the way I've done things.
Yeah.
I have to change the way I've done things in the past. And uh, I've said no to 5 or 6 clients in the last 2 weeks, because I just didn't think they were a great fit, or not the right size, or any number of reasons. And
Yeah. Look, or you
for me, I know that that's a level,
so sometimes I just don't like them. I'm like, I don't really want to work with you.
Yeah, like, I mean, exactly. Like, you contacted me, right? Like,
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
uh no, and as you get a little bit older, at least in regards to business, you start to see that, in
Yeah,
the same way as if you went on a date, and you would know if you're hitting it off, or you'd know if you weren't, all the way through the process. And it's not, I'm not trying to get anyone's money for that one time pay of a month or 2 months or 3 months, whatever. I'm trying to keep them, as a client for Marknology. So it's like, look, if this isn't going to work out anyway, then just say no now.
yeah, not for sure.
It's a skill, though. If you are a hustler from the bottom, I'm telling you, no is not in your vocabulary. Like, you're just like, yeah, I'll do it. Like, yeah, I can do it. So, like, learning that, being able to say no, or like, hey, I need someone else. This isn't for me, I think is absolutely huge. Let's switch gears just a little bit.
All right, you won't feel
Digital.
me. Can I put my phone on the charger? It's beeping at
Yeah, yeah, of course.
me. 1 second.
For anyone that's watching it on the live, we had a little bit of struggles getting plugged in. Tyler's computer wasn't working. We've got a phone. He's like got it up on a stand. We've got this thing all worked out to talk to you guys today. So bear with us. I do want to talk about digital nomads for anybody listening, and for anyone that doesn't know what that means. A digital nomad is just someone that it's a play on an old word, which is nomad, which is just someone that doesn't really have a home, and is always on the go. And the digital part is just being able to work from your computer anywhere in the world. And I know that is a big driving. I wouldn't say I want to be a nomad. I like having a home, but I love to travel. I love working abroad. I know tons of careers that have popped up. I have friends all over the world that are, living their dreams, working abroad. My dad was a missionary in Africa, and growing up, and I'm so grateful looking back now, thinking that what I do wasn't an option when he was trying to, live abroad and travel and do things like that. Like, he couldn't just have a computer and work a job from Africa or things like that to support the family. And um, you know, my dad, I'm also thankful because my dad had one of the very first computers and was teaching me, how to put computers together when I was just a little kid. And I've used that skill to now give me the ability to, travel abroad. And me and my sister, we call the whole world's my workplace, or, travel abroad. And you see these like programs and things. And there's nothing that makes me, I don't know, feel a little bit more excited about life than when I'm in control of my work environment, or I'm just burnt out here and I'm like, I'm going to be working from a coffee shop in New York
Yeah.
or Italy, or, it's a major, major, major driving force for me in my motivation to
Just the sense of
take,
freedom, you know?
yeah, the sense of freedom and choice, right?
Yeah.
For me, I love the word freedom, but I'm not sure a lot of people describe it the same way I do. So for me, freedom is choice.
Yeah.
The ability to choose, do I want to work? Do I not want to work? Do I want to be here? Do I want to be there? Do I want to, um, eat this or eat that? And maybe I
Mhm.
have my own choices, but it becomes um mine to make,
Yeah.
right? And when it's yours to make, it's surprising to see how motivating that is,
Yeah.
right? Where are you at right now?
Right now I'm in Texas. So
Texas.
yeah, I just moved back to the U.S. Last year. I was backpacking for about a year in Central America, and then in February, right when COVID started, I decided to come back to the U.S. for a little bit.
That's
And I
awesome.
started, so kind of the digital nomad thing is back when. So this was 2015 or so. I moved to Atlanta. So I'm originally from California, and I went to Texas and Nashville and Atlanta. And I was sitting in Atlanta. I had a basement. I had my office down there, right? I had a whole bunch of monitors everywhere. And I'm just grinding all day, every day, right? And this is the beginning of my company. So I started making, some decent money. Started buying, I bought a boat, bought some dirt bikes, bought, a motorcycle, bought a whole bunch of cars. But I'm sitting here working all day, right?
Right.
And then one day I'm just sitting here and I'm just looking at my bills and I'm just like, damn, like how do I make good money? But like I'm just sitting here stressing about money. You know what I mean? It's true. It's like and me like growing up, like in college, I'm reading Rich Dad Poor Dad. I'm reading a lot of those entrepreneur types and like Dave Ramsey and all that. So like I already knew the whole rat race and getting caught in it, right? But I'm sitting here in my office, like just looking at all these bills, stressing about money, and I'm just like, how the hell did I get caught in this? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And I don't even need none of this stuff. I don't even use none of it, right? So then it was literally like I just had I already had my kid. She was like 3 at the time. My ex-wife was pregnant, and she was like 7 months pregnant, and I'm just sitting there like, I gotta get the hell out of here. So within 2 months, I sold everything I owned. Me, my ex-wife, she's pregnant, 8 months pregnant, and my 3-year-old. We jumped and just moved to Mexico. Never been, never did anything. We had 2 suitcases each. I was like, that's all we thought. We sell everything, get rid of everything, and we go to Mexico. And we
I love it.
moved to Playa del Carmen, which is right by Cancun. And then I've been living, in Central America the last 5 years. But I mean, like I said, for me, the sense of like freedom is just like just getting all that the pressure you get here. Just trying to compete with everyone, and oh, you got a nice car, shit, I got to get a nice car. Or like it's just that pressure is just like, man, I just got to the point where I'm out of here. So then that's when I started kind of the digital nomad thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, since I had a family, it was not the full digital nomad aspect. I called it slow traveling. We had a home base in Playa del Carmen, and then we every 3 months or so we would go to another country for like a month, and then we'll come back to our home base. So we kind of used it. I call it the slow digital nomad approach. But I mean, just that experience was great. Just learning different cultures, seeing how different people think. Like people that in America is just like we think the world revolves around us. You know what I mean?
Right.
And then when you
Right.
go to other countries, you see like you're like, hey, y'all don't celebrate Thanksgiving? Like you just say stupid stuff, right? like what the hell is Thanksgiving? You know what I mean? But you think like, oh, everybody celebrates Thanksgiving, right? So like just going to live in different countries and talking, like it just really opens your mind, with different
Opens it.
and that's helped me a lot. And we're talking about failures earlier. So I moved to Playa del Carmen, and just Mexico culture is just different than the U.S. culture in general, right? And I'm thinking, all right, there was trying to find an apartment. I'm looking around. There's no like There's no like Trello or apartments.com or nothing, right? Everything's you walk down the neighborhood and you look for signs, right? And
There's walls, there's barbed
yeah,
wire. It's
I'm like,
like
man, this is not efficient at all. Like, I'm tired of riding my bicycle around looking for a apartment, right? So I started developing like a Trello.com, but for Playa del Carmen, right? So I built it. I had the graphic design, the web, like building this whole thing, and I'm going around, hiring people locally because it's cheap, of course, and trying to get people to put their apartments and stuff on the website, right? And I mean, the website was nice, like it was customized for the city, so it had like places of interest and different things for like expats to go in and figure out where they want to live.
mhm,
But this was one of the things where it's I didn't understand the culture, right? And
mhm,
the culture in Mexico is I rather work 10 hours than save $2. You know what I mean? Like they're not big on efficiency as if like Americans are. Like I want to save these minutes. You know what I mean? Where in Mexico is I want to save the money. So it's just a different culture of yeah, this might save me time, but I don't want to spend the money for it. Compared to the U.S. is all about being efficient, right? So there was that culture difference that I didn't understand. That kind of just like, oh damn, like I mean, they rather not be efficient and save $5 than be efficient, and it's nothing wrong with it. It's just understanding the culture. You know what I mean?
right,
And when you start doing stuff in international markets without knowing the culture, you're just not, you're just doing it based off of what Americans would do, but that's not what that country would do.
mhm,
So that was something I learned, and yeah, I mean, I lost some money in it, but it was a huge learning experience. And now I'm thinking internationally about different cultures and stuff and how they think, and also that helps a lot with outsourcing because when you deal with people in India, different in Eastern Europe and all that, right? It's not everyone. I'm not doing a generalist, but they behave differently than Americans, right? Like in like Indian stuff, they want like exact directions of how to do something usually, right? Where like Americans don't really want to give you exact directions, and that's where like a lot of people that outsource get frustrated because they're like, well, like figure it out on your own. Like I don't want to do this. So there's certain things where you just have to understand the culture and understand what they're good at and what they're just used to. Not saying they can't change or not, but that's just what they're used to. You know what I mean? But once you understand that and accept that, and then you kind of delegate based off of that, it gets a lot easier and it makes more sense. But if you try to treat someone, in a different culture like you would in this culture, that's where you bump heads and you feel like, oh no, it doesn't work. It's just something's wrong. Like, no, your work sucks. This to this is just they think differently, they see differently just because their culture is different. So learning that is a huge thing. And like I said, that's why at least I found a lot of people are scared out is because the cultural difference and they don't understand how to work with them and how to talk with them, and because they're treating them like they would treat an employee in the U.S. You know what I mean? So that's a good learning experience as well.
mic drop.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, as someone that grew up in Africa and travel a lot, like I'm so blessed, to
Mhm.
have that perspective and um it just changes the game. Like I have such a hard time relating with Americans growing up abroad. Like I have such a hard time relating with Americans that are whining. I just am like, you all don't know shit
Yeah.
about shit about shit. Like, and I find myself gravitating to people that are from other places or, have some of that perspective because, for me, I'm like thankful for 3 jobs or,
Mm.
like because you have that culture. Right.
Yeah.
And another big one is respect. Like you have to like give respect more of a priority when you're dealing with other cultures. It's the number one thing that they operate their lives around. They're very like, at least when I've been to Central America, South America, Africa, respect is very much a priority. And I'm not saying Americans don't have it. I'm just saying, like, we have a lot of different cultures here. Americans are not one culture. It's a mixture of all the cultures of the world. We got 50 states that are really like 50 countries, like, so it's crazy, but you have to be able to get outside your perspective of a thing, to be able to be able to not just live abroad, but work with, outsourced talent and be able to communicate effectively with them. And sure, I don't have all of the cultures down, but I have a general understanding that there's a difference,
Yeah. Yeah.
right?
That's the
And
part.
be
Sure.
right and find what culture you connect well with, and you know, continue working with those people. Um, I have a dream for sure. For me, that's like, I want to own Airbnbs abroad. One I own. It's
Yeah.
called AKC Co Properties here in Kansas City. We have about 70 properties. 25 of them are Airbnbs or so. And I would love to own one in Mexico, Bogota, Medellin, just
Yeah.
whether it's the time zone or the weather. Like we got winter coming up and I hate it. I'm African inside. So I'm
Mhm.
like, I just hate the cold. And um, there's so many ways to be free in 2020, to live abroad, travel abroad, work abroad. And for me, for anyone listening, that's like, I want that. I want what Tyler has. I want what Andrew has. Maybe it's a founder, someone that's not a founder that's listening. Like, mine started with the smallest quality of life improvements. I wanted to not lose 2 hours a day in traffic.
Mhm.
I wanted those 2 hours back, and those 2 hours allowed me to justify going to the gym more. And it took away that 2 hours of negativity a day. Not that every drive is negative, some can be positive, but traffic sucks. And, then it started to, well, I want to be able to work from home. I don't want to have to wear this monkey suit,
Yeah.
and so then it was like, okay, what kind of jobs can I get in where I don't have to wear this monkey suit?
Yeah.
And it's just little intentionality around the things that made me feel more free or have more choice, that ended up where I am today. But I definitely didn't start out trying to get here personally, and
I know it's so easy with COVID. I mean, everybody's working from home. You know what I mean? More than likely, most people are not going back to office just because the company's going to still, if they already put all this to place, they'll just save on commercial real estate, and it's going to be a cost
right.
savings to them, and everything's more productive and all that. So, like, you don't even have to own your own company to work remote. You know what I mean? So if you
Yep.
remote, why are you like? What's the difference if you work at home right now and working on the beach? Like, nobody knows any difference, all right? And my clients never knew where I was. I mean, I would tell them if they're friends or stuff, but they don't know where I was. My company was based in the U.S. and I was wherever I was as long as I had internet. I was chilling, taking phone calls on the beach with no shirt on and swim trunks, and as soon as they get off, I'm going surfing. Like they have no,
Mm-hmm.
and then there's no stopping. Like, it's super easy to do it. I mean, there's that, of course, that initial jump of being scared, but I mean, if you think about it, just financially, like, one, it's just cost of living adjustment is just ridiculously different. You know what I mean? Where I can buy here compared to there, it's like 1/10 of the cost. Plus, it's going to be way nicer. The lifestyle is better. You got the outdoor stuff. Like I said, I lived in the Caribbean, so I was scuba diving all the time. I was going wakeboarding. I was chilling on the beach. I would work half the day, go to the beach, get a massage, come back, for $10. And it's just so easy to do it. And then on top of that, you get tax benefits from being out there, especially if you're like a consultant, because there's the foreign earned income exclusion. So you get tax benefits. So you save money on cost of living. On top of, you save taxes, and you get to live like a king, essentially. It's so, it's like I said, I would have came back if it wasn't for COVID. But being a gringo out there when they got no money because the tourism is not the safest route when you got kids.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yep.
but yeah, it's super easy. It's just making that initial jump, and you'll see how easy it is.
Well, I'll definitely be coming down to Mexico when you're back and
I'm
and
I'm
saying,
going tomorrow, so
you going? Are you going tomorrow?
yeah, I got a flight to Cancun tomorrow.
Awesome.
Yeah, I'm going for Halloween, and
Awesome.
then
I love it. And he's probably, are you going to stay or just back to visit?
just back to visit. Yeah, for Day of the Dead, Halloween. It's a pretty fun time out there during those times.
Oh, I bet. I bet. I bet. I didn't even think about that.
Yeah.
But the same reasons you just mentioned are the same reasons I've stayed in Kansas City here in the US was cheaper cost of living than a lot of places.
Mhm.
Ability to keep costs down. It's like, the Midwest is really affordable in regards to like all the other areas of the country, and it allows me to travel more by being here, my family based here. Keeping costs of real estate and having our office and things like that down. I live with a roommate, Brian. He's the one that helps me with my real estate, that business together. Intentional. Why? Because I wanted to keep costs down so that I can travel. Like I focused so many areas around my life based on, being able to work abroad, travel abroad, and the world's getting more global, and you talked about that culture in Mexico that you didn't know, and that's something that I'm actually digging into right now. I literally was on a call um, earlier, actually yesterday, but it was Europe, so it was just like some strange time zones. But
Yeah.
they help with localization, translating listings on Amazon. So not just translating them, but getting it localized. So using localized, verbiage and terminology to sell products. So I'm starting to learn and try to find connections that can help me localize products and really understand what's going on. Amazon Mexico is a big marketplace, and even to be a businessman, it helps me to know how those cultures think, and what they're doing and what's going on. Uh, Tyler, are you still with me? Seen him go a little bit vertical, for anyone's listening, but we'll see if he comes back. But I mean, all in all, like, absolutely everything we're talking about on this episode, I think I got him back, Tyler. But everything we've been talking about, as an entrepreneur, whether it's lessons spending to learn, whether it's, being able to see your data so that you can make decisions, whether it's knowing when to ask for help or when to say no, when to hire an expert versus, when to outsource something, when to do it yourself. This is all like entrepreneurship stuff 101. And while I wish I knew it at the beginning, you still learn it every single year. There's something you're doing that you need to say no to, or something that, that you need to outsource. Tyler, we definitely have to connect offline. I don't want to tell my ideas on air, but I got some big ones for, some ways I think visualization could really help a project I'm working on, kind of bring it to the next level. So that'll be fun, and you guys stay tuned. I know we have a lot of listeners, and I think this idea is going to be huge for e-commerce. So maybe we'll be talking that idea the next time we get on the show. Once again, guys, you can always find Tyler online. I'm going to put his website up here for anyone going live: Visual Intelligence Consulting.com. That's visual with a Z, Vizual intelligenceconsulting.com. Thanks again to our sponsor, Fullscale.io, helping you build software teams quickly and affordably. We talked about the leverage and power of outsourcing, whether you're hiring 4 at a time and figuring out the best one, or you're just going with a company like Full Scale and having them help you pick the right developers for your needs. Outsourcing is a great way to scale your team, and allow you to get into those areas that you need to automate and things like that. Tyler, thank you so much for being on the show.
Yeah, no problem, man. Appreciate you having me.
Yeah, still got him here. We'll have him back again, that's for sure. Everybody take care. Thank you so much.
All right, thanks, man.